Ron Howard has long been one of Hollywood's most respected storytellers. From his early days as Opie Taylor on The Andy Griffith Show, to playing Richie Cunningham on Happy Days, and later becoming the acclaimed director behind Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Mind, Ron built his career by telling powerful stories, usually someone else's. But for decades, one story remained locked away in his heart. A quiet, emotional truth about a man who helped shape his early life. Jim Nabors. To the world, Jim was Gomer Pyle, the lovable, goofy gas station attendant turned Marine. But to Ron, he was something more, someone who had incredible strength. Behind a silly smile, Ron was just a boy when he met Jim on the set of The Andy Griffith Show. While Ron charmed America as Little Opie, Jim was only supposed to appear in one episode. But his innocent charm and trademark, golly, turned Gomer Pyle into a national treasure and earned him his own hit show. Behind the laughter, though, there was a side of Jim that the cameras never caught. Off-screen, Ron witnessed something most of the world never did: a kind, sensitive soul fighting to exist authentically in a world that wouldn't allow it. In those days, Hollywood didn't just frown upon being gay, it erased it. For someone like Jim Nabors, being openly gay wasn't just risky, it was professional suicide. Whispers about his private life followed him everywhere. Rumors swirled that he had secretly married actor Rock Hudson, a claim they both laughed off, but that still fueled endless tabloid speculation. To Ron, watching Jim live under such intense scrutiny was his first real glimpse into the darker side of fame. The pressure to keep smiling while hiding who you are was something Ron never forgot. Yet through it all, Jim never showed bitterness. Ron remembers how Jim would stay late on set, comforting anxious guest stars or encouraging a young Ron when the spotlight felt too heavy. When the Gomer act was off, Jim revealed a deep, thoughtful man who offered Ron wisdom and warmth beyond his years. He became a mentor, almost an uncle, someone who proved that kindness could survive even in the brutal machine of show business. As Jim transitioned into Gomer Pyle, his success soared, but so did the expectations. America wanted him to always be funny, sweet, and harmless. Meanwhile, he found his truest self, not in front of the camera but through music. Jim's operatic singing voice, a far cry from Gomer's southern twang, stunned audiences. It was his sanctuary, a brief escape where he didn't have to play a role. As the years passed, Ron moved behind the camera and thrived as a director, while Jim chose a quieter life. He settled in Hawaii with his longtime partner, Stan Cadwallader, far from the judgmental glare of Hollywood. There, Jim finally found peace. No cameras, no pressure, just gardening, singing for neighbors, and living without fear. Even as acceptance of LGBTQ+ identities grew, Jim never sought the spotlight for his private life, and Ron respected that. He never spoke publicly about Jim's truth, honoring a bond built on trust and silence. When Jim passed away in 2017, tributes flooded in from fans and former co-stars, but Ron remained silent, grieving in private. It wasn't until recently, during a celebration of The Andy Griffith Show, that Ron finally opened up. In an emotional tribute, he reflected on what Jim truly meant to him, not just as a performer, but as a human being. He talked about the compassion Jim showed when no one was watching, about how his strength didn't come from fame or applause, but from quietly living his truth in a time when it could have cost him everything. Ron's voice trembled as he recalled Jim's final years in Hawaii, peaceful, filled with love, far from the pressures that once confined him. Jim Nabors, Ron said, was one of the bravest people I ever met, not for his comedy or his singing, but for surviving decades of judgment and never letting it steal his light. In finally sharing this story, Ron reminded the world that the biggest heroes aren't always the ones center stage. Sometimes they're the ones who make us laugh while carrying invisible burdens. Jim Nabors' real legacy isn't just Gomer Pyle, it's quiet courage, deep compassion, and a heart that never gave up on love. Thanks for watching Starloop News, where we bring you the real stories behind Hollywood's shining stars. If this touched you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss the legends, the legacies, and the untold truths behind your favorite icons. Stay tuned because the stories that matter most are the ones finally being heard.